So I honestly don't know what I just saw, but in some capacity, I just saw Eternals, the newest movie in the MCU, and also the first MCU movie to get a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. And that didn't really surprise me. When I first saw the trailer for this movie back in, I believe, May, I already had low expectations because it looked really boring and it didn't really excite me. However, like with most films, I gave it a chance. I gave it a fair chance because sometimes a movie goes by and then you think it's going to be bad, but then you end up loving it. I've seen that a lot with some movies this year, and I thought Eternals was going to be one of those. Then the early reviews came in and I was losing my hope. I was like, man, this is going to be a bad movie. So I went and saw it, and man, talk about a mediocre movie. I was very disappointed with Eternals. I think this is definitely one of the worst movies in the MCU. And this is coming from someone who has heavily defended the MCU. Yes, there are quite a lot of mediocre ones, but the ones that are good are really good and hold their place very dearly in the superhero genre. And Eternals is definitely not going to be one of those. In fact, I don't think that this movie is going to make any money at all. First of all, this doesn't feel like a story, something epic. It has no practical locations, which kind of makes the film boring. Now, I'm sure that this movie used some practical effects, like most MCU movies, but it's just too CGI heavy that it feels pretty fake at times upon rewatching the film and the trailers. I also thought that the movie had a problem with its directing. This film was directed by, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but this is her picture. She has directed a lot of critically acclaimed movies that critics have enjoyed, but I do think that her direction for this film was pretty bad because it just shows, because her previous films were mostly about middle class working people. I don't think that this kind of Marvel movie was perfect for her though. I'm not sure about you guys, but don't you think that the director tried to balance her indie style with the MCU? It just didn't really work. I know that Ryan Coogler did that with Black Panther, but it kind of works a bit better. I don't know why, but it just kind of did. As for the rest of the movie, there isn't really a story. It just felt like most things happened because it just had to happen. It didn't have any purpose or reasoning behind it. As for the action sequences, there are barely any action. Kind of like Dune, but this movie, the action was a disappointment. I was expecting something really epic, something really cool, a standout action scene. And upon my reflection on the film, there wasn't a single one. And even the acting fell off. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Eternals, in my opinion, has some of the worst acting in the MCU. Practically nobody, and I mean nobody, gave a stand-up performance. And even those who were trying, it just wasn't something special or unique. Which is such a shame because they have cast some really well-known actors and actors who have starred in some good films. And for these talented actors to be featured in a movie with a very weak script is unbelievable. I cannot believe that Eternals was as bad as it was. And honestly, I think it does deserve that Rotten Tomatoes score that it got, because all the other low-rated MCU movies, I think that I've still found enjoyment in them. Say what you want about For the Dark World, but I really enjoyed that film. Yes, it had problems, but I had a good time. And that's what I expect from most MCU movies. Sure, they may not have great storytelling, but at least they'll have some decent acting and some really good action scenes to lift up the movie. And Eternals doesn't have the three things that I mentioned. Now, is this overall a terrible movie? Yes, but it still has redeeming qualities. I really did like the visual style. It is unique and it does differentiate itself from other MCU movies. And I also did like the post-credit scene. It was very interesting. And if this was a good MCU movie, it honestly would work. And well, this is what we got, and it is definitely not good. As for other things I liked, there were some points in the movie where you could tell that the direction did work, and it did feel like a Chloe Zhao movie. I think that's her name. However, I do think that Zhao should stick to some independent movies, because with Eternals being her fourth film, it's clearly a mistake, because for a fourth film, it's shown that she is not ready to take down a big blockbuster film like this, especially from one of the biggest film franchises working today. And I also heard that Marvel gave Zhao a lot of creative control for this film, and that clearly was a mistake because she's shown that she's not confident with a big blockbuster like this. Overall, I was disappointed with Eternal. Sure, I didn't have no expectations, but I was hoping to at least be surprised. I was hoping to say that this is a decent MCU movie, like Shang-Chi's version of the Ten Rings. But unfortunately, we get the worst MCU movie, I think, in years or even ever. I'm gonna give Eternals a 3. And it thoroughly deserves it. I honestly don't know what happened. Was it creative differences? Was it just laziness or the pandemic? I honestly don't know, but at the end of the day, this movie was awful and I was so disappointed because I tried to like this movie and in the end, it didn't impress me. And you know what? I'm done. I'm done with the MCU. They're not impressing me, and if they're not impressing me, then they're not going to impress you. And if they're not impressing you, then you shouldn't waste your money on these kind of films, because there are a lot of good movies out there that deserve your attention, not films like Eternals. So yeah, I'm done with the MCU. They're just boring. They're not filled with any more passion like they used to. They're just clearly made for the money. I'll still see Spider-Man No Way Home because I'm really excited for that, and I have faith that it's going to be great, judging by the things I've heard about it. I can't wait to see that in December. I'm also really curious for the new Blade movie. That looks interesting, as well as the new Black Panther film. So those should be great when they come along. Other than that though, I'm done with the MCU films and some of the TV shows. Because if Phase 4 isn't going to give me anything interesting, then there's no point in seeing the film. So yeah, I'm done with the MCU, and I hope this review convinces you not to see Eternals because I don't want to waste your time or your money. So thanks as always for watching, guys. Let me know what you thought of Eternals down below, or what's your favorite MCU movie. By the way, next week I'm starting my series of Spider-Man reviews, and I'm also going to be reviewing a really bad upcoming movie. Anyway, thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and please subscribe, because some of you just watch my videos without subscribing. Just subscribe, it's free. Peace.